Hello and welcome to a very impromptu Premier League preview, individual team preview. We're going to start off by saying thank you very much for all your messages over the last week or so and all your subscribers. The channel's going really well. We've received a lot of messages asking what show we were doing last night and the night before, and we didn't do any. And a couple of people have said, why don't you do a Premier League one? I phoned Gonzo half an hour ago and said, Gonzo, what do you know about these Premier League teams? So we're going to start, and we're going to do it in a strange order because we never do things easy on Hammers Chat. We're going to do it in the order of our opponents. So Gonzo, first up this season, West Ham United kick off against Chelsea. Let's chat about Chelsea. Well, the Premier League in general have got a lot of managers going in and out this summer. It's a huge transfer merry-go-round for, at the manager level. Is there a huge pressure on the new managers in particular, and in particular Conte?
There is a lot of pressure on Conte. Okay, are you hearing me okay on this? Yeah, sorry, as you probably just explained, we've just thrown this together. I've just stuck my earphones in. There's a lot of pressure on me at the moment because I've had to stick the banner up with sticky tape. So if it falls down, well, everyone will have a laugh, really, won't they? Yeah, Conte, he's a tactician, obviously. He's a really good manager. A lot of European pedigree. They can't be as bad as they were last season, Chelsea, let's be perfectly honest with you. That was a great game at Upton Park. I was sat right next to the away end at Upton Park for that game. And Jose Mourinho got sent to the stands, didn't he? And it was a pretty damn good game. So, I mean, Conte's come in. They sacked the special one and they brought in some players.
Were you impressed with Italy at Euro 2016? I know you didn't watch a great deal of it, but what you did see of Italy, were you impressed with the way they set up? Because not many people, I thought a lot of people wrote them off before the Euros because they weren't doing any outstanding results in the qualifiers. Went into the Euros without really being mentioned as potential winners. But they impressed me. So, are you expecting an Italian style at Stamford Bridge next season?
Oh, very much so. He's they've got he plays the Italian style. They can be mean in defence, tactically very, very switched on. I don't think if they go a goal up, they're going to go searching for the second, third, fourth, fifth goal. He'll play in the Italian way. They didn't surprise me in the Euros Italy at all because they're always better than the sum of their parts. And when you've got defenders like Chiellini and then Versten, the dark arts, they really play the dark arts well, don't they? It's going to be very interesting because the referees have got a bit of a clamp down this season. And whilst it's sorry, my son's just grabbing the table there. Whilst they're clamping down on verbals to the referees, I do think that there seems to be a movement towards trying to deal with a lot of the dark arts. And they really are very good at pulling your shirt and sticking an elbow in your chest and just stopping a forward from making those runs. And he's going to have them highly organised, and he'll probably stick another couple of years on John Terry's career as well, to be honest with you.
What do you make of their transfers? So far, they haven't really sold anyone worthwhile mentioning, but they've brought in two players, 32 million for Kante and 33 million for Batshuayi. Now, we obviously know quite a bit about the latter because of West Ham's links. So what do you make of their transfer dealing so far? Are you impressed? Is that what Chelsea need?
No, I think they need a whole lot more than that, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not impressed at all. You look at what Manchester United are doing, who we'll cover in another show. Kante, I mean, yes, he had a decent season at Leicester, of course, who were excellent. But surely Matuidi was the guy, if you're going to get somebody from a French midfielder to do that sort of job. Matuidi's a class above him, in my personal opinion. Batshuayi, that's a funny one because they've actually been linked with a big move to Lukaku. For Lukaku, and if that happens, Batshuayi must be sat there thinking, well, hold on a second, what have I bought him for? You know, I'm substitute to Lukaku for the Belgium national team, and now I'm sitting on the bench at Stamford Bridge. I don't personally, bearing in mind how rich Abramovich is, I don't think they've done their main bit of business yet. I'd be very, very surprised if, with all the other clubs going out spending 100, 200 million for a lot of the big clubs, I'd be very, very surprised if they stop and just have two players for 30 odd million. Very surprised indeed.
Do you expect Lukaku to go back to Stamford Bridge? Do you think that's who their big signing will be?
Well, you know what? It'd be a bitter pill to swallow because they let him go. But then again, not as big a pill as Man United, having Pogba back for 100 million, having released him on a free. I think there's certain pride at stake. But I mean, Mourinho showed he was a bit flawed, really, because he let Kevin De Bruyne go as well, didn't he? I think, did he go to Wolfsburg? Is that right? Did he go to Wolfsburg? And then Man City signed him at 56 million or something. So clearly, Mourinho's eye for a player is not quite as good as it might have been. And you look at him last time, like Costa, he's just an accident waiting to happen. I mean, if you were a central defender and you were playing, people say, oh, don't wind him up because he's better if he gets wound up. I don't subscribe to that. Actually, wind him up and he's likely to get himself sent off. If you remember last season, Gabriel at Arsenal got too involved. But if I was a defender, I'd wind that bloke right up. So, I mean, I think they got a lot more to do. Hazard was an embarrassment last season. He's going to be rejuvenated. Unfortunately, started against us, which is why we're covering Chelsea first, of course. He's going to be coming up against Antonio, as we spoke about in our other show. So, no, I'm not impressed, and I think they need to do more, and I think they will do more.
Do you think Costa will get shipped out if Lukaku comes in? Do you think that's the solution? They have no Champions League football. They've only got Premier League football and the domestic cups to keep their quite big squad happy. So do you think Costa will maybe go back to Atletico Madrid?
If they take him, but I mean, they're doing quite well themselves at Atletico Madrid. Would they take him back? I don't think he is the player that Chelsea signed when they signed him at Atletico Madrid. They were signing a 25, 30 goal a season striker. I'm not sure he can recover that for you. I think he's a flawed character. He might go back there, but Atletico Madrid have done remarkably well. I know we're talking about Chelsea, but you look at the last cup, for so long it was a two-horse race. And in the last 3 years, probably down to Simeone, they've really made themselves players in La Liga and in Europe as well. So I almost think Atletico Madrid are a cut and a standard above Diego Costa.
You mentioned earlier they did rubbish last season, Chelsea, but does that give them an advantage going into the season that they don't have European football? Do you think that might add on 5, 6, 7, 8 points to their total before they've even kicked off?
Absolutely, and it will take off 5, 6, 7, 8 points off the teams that are involved in Europe. Who I don't mean Man United and Arsenal. They know the drill. They know the score. They know how to rotate and they know how to deal with that. So, for instance, I mean, we'll suffer a little bit for it if we get through on Thursday and then the subsequent rounds. But Tottenham are going to be the ones as well. They're going to really struggle. He was able to play his lesser players, Pochettino, because Pochettino plays an intensive pressing game, and they're all knackered by the end of the season, if you noticed. And the Spurs players, when they played for England, were knackered as well. So I think that he's not going to be able to play his lesser lights in the Europa League. He's going to, in the Champions League, like he did in the Europa League, I think he's going to have to play a top team, and they're going to lose points. So, yeah, on the flip side, in answer to your question, yeah, I do think Chelsea concentrating on that is going to really benefit them.
Does that make them favourites for the title, in your opinion, or do you think there's teams still slight favourites?
I would imagine Man United will win the title. Mourinho does have a habit of doing that, doesn't he? His first, even when he came back to Chelsea, first season at Chelsea, the first time won the title. First season back at Chelsea, the second time won the title. First season at Inter Milan, won the title. Didn't win a title, first of all, when we first went to Real Madrid, but I think it's almost a clash of cultures with him at that club. I expect him to go to Man U and win the title. So
what's your for Chelsea then? Comfortable top 4, but not quite title?
Top 4. Definitely top 4.
And are you expecting, lastly, on Chelsea, before we move on to our next opponents, are you expecting the likes of Fabregas, Hazard and Matic to show what they showed this season previous and just write off last season as a one-off?
Oh, do you know, I can't stand Fabregas. He's another one. He's like Costa. He's a real narky character. I mean, to see him close up, he's like an irritant. He's a horrible, decent footballer, classy, silky skill, but irritating little player. Matic, they fell woefully short. The more names you mention, you think they should have had a good team. Of course, they sold Ramirez to China for good money, didn't they? Yeah, I mean, they need to. He is an excellent player. William is a fantastic player as well. They've got enough for top 4. But yeah, in answer to your question, Matic and Fabregas need to pull their socks up, and because they were shadows of their former selves last year. They let the Chelsea fans down, all those players last season. Not that I care.
I think Kante will see a different Cesc Fabregas this season. I think his transfer will allow Fabregas to push on in behind the striker. And I think that's why Hazard suffered last season. He didn't have Fabregas so close to him as he did the previous one. I think Fabregas was a bit too deep last season. So we'll see how Chelsea get on. They're my favourites for the title. I think no European football with a manager like that in charge, I think it's going to be boring. I certainly don't think they'll be entertaining, but they'll just get the job done. And I can see them winning the league because there's a lot of clubs shouting at the minute, and Chelsea aren't shouting. They're kind of going about their business as quietly as possible. And sometimes those who shout the loudest aren't necessarily the best. Pep and Jose have been in the media non-stop over all the summer, where Conte's kind of just kept step back as if to say, I'll let you have the limelight. I'll just do what I want to do at Stamford Bridge. I'll just do my dealings. And that's what I like. I think Stamford Bridge will be the toughest ground to go to next season. But let's move on to our next opponents, a team that could be found at the other end of the table potentially. Let's go discuss that. A place where you come from, Gonzo, Bournemouth. They've had They've made quite a lot of signings, actually, more than I thought they had. They've sold the captain and they've sold Matt Ritchie, however. Dodgy transfers for you for Bournemouth, or trust in Eddie Howe?
Yeah, I've got a bit of affection for the club. I've spent 5 years of my life down there. So, when I watched them, funny enough, when Harry Redknapp was manager and when Ian Bishop used to play for him when Jamie Redknapp was coming through. So, yeah, got a lot of friends who are Bournemouth fans. They've got money, Bournemouth. Of course, a lot of people look at me, little old Bournemouth's, club by the seaside town, but they've got money. They've got a Russian owner who's not short of a few bob. They've they had bad injuries last season, Bournemouth. So the biggest key for them this season will not be any of their signings. It would be Max Gradel, who's a fantastic player, very, very good player. And it's actually, he would probably play off the left-hand side. And now I can't remember the boy's name, but he came from Ipswich for about 8 million, who's a left back.
Tyrone Mings.
That's the one. Well done. Well done. He's a left back. So they'll be a lot stronger down one whole side. If you think about West Ham last season, where either Payet or Lanzini would play on the left and we'd have Cresswell down there, we were very, very strong down the left last season. They'd sort of interchange and overlap. I've got a feeling there's going to be a bit of that going on next season at Bournemouth, because both of those players were missing for more or less the whole season. And when people came in, like our own Stanislas, of course, did probably better than the sum of their parts. Of course, they've paid big money for Jordan Ibe from Liverpool, 15 million, I believe. Now, that's a gamble, but I think it's a brave gamble because it's a young, homegrown player. And as you say, they've sold Lionel Richie, which is a strange one because he was a good player for them. So he's dropped. We were linked with him, and he's dropped down to division. So they'll spend if they need to spend. They bought a Phobie. Was it a Phobie from Wolves last season? They've got the lad Wilson to come back, who played ever so well against us. Again, was injured. They had a lot of bad luck with injuries. So I think Bournemouth will be absolutely fine, more than safe, and they've got a good young manager.
They've got a good young team as well. I mean, you spoke about Ibe. They took in Brad Smith from Liverpool for 6 million. The one that catches my eye is when they took in Lewis Cook from Leeds. He won the Young Player of the Year for the Championship last season. 10 million is splashed out on him. I think it's 6-7 million rising up. And they've got Ake on loan from Chelsea now. If he wasn't on loan already, that's who I would have wanted to see at West Ham to cover Aaron Cresswell. He impressed me at Watford. And I've also signed a striker from the French second division. Apologies if I say his name wrong. Mousset. They scored 14 in 29. Now, I don't know him, but it's young players, isn't it? This is Eddie Howe. Do you think their manager should be disappointed that he didn't get a better chance for the England job, or is it too soon?
I don't think he should be disappointed. I think it probably any other country, you'd think it would be too soon, but there's not. You think any other country, so if you go to Spain, there's a lot of Spanish managers managing in Spain. Same with France, a lot of French managers managing France. England, there's not a lot of English managers, so anyone that is English is automatically going to be put in the frame. So, no, it wasn't too early, but I don't think he's interested, and he wouldn't be interested because he's a sensible lad. Eddie Howe is a young man. he was at Bournemouth initially, and for those that don't know, he went to Burnley from Bournemouth and actually put in place a lot of the team, a lot of the squad that Sean Dyche has done so well with. He actually laid the foundations for that, but he didn't really work out for him personally because football's really fickle and managers come and go a little bit too easily. And he moved too early. He's a Bournemouth boy. As I say, I've lived down here myself. I know it's a lovely place to live. And I just think it was a move too soon for him. I think with that experience, armed with that experience, he probably knows himself that the England job is something for somebody slightly more experienced, and he knows he's got unfinished business at Bournemouth. So he's probably happy enough to continue his club career for the next 10 years.
Well, before we move on to who the bookies consider the title favourites, last question on Bournemouth. Are they in danger of getting relegated, or what should their aim be this season? Everyone talks about second season syndrome. This is what they're coming into now. What do Bournemouth need to do next season, and could they go down?
They need to be better than the 3 teams that have been promoted, and that will do for Bournemouth. I actually think they can do a bit better than that. So rather than look at placings, actually, if they could do the same again, if they could be safe with 6 or 7 games remaining, that would be a remarkable achievement yet again. And with each year that goes by, with the huge money that's available in the Premier League now with the TV deal, every season you cement and solidify one more year in the Premier League. It's another 150 million in the coffers, and the gap just grows wider and wider and wider between the Premier League and the lower leagues. And I'm pretty sure what you will find is within the next 5 years, almost exclusively the 3 teams come up, same 3 go down, same 3 go down. They will go down with huge parachute payments, of course. So they'll be a standard above the lower league. So they'll just basically be 6 teams swapping positions.
Well, I think they'll stay up. I hope they'll stay up, and I hope they finish above West Brom in a victory for football. Now let's move on to the manager who was in the press for ages. He's finally in the Premier League, Gonzo. Pep Guardiola. Are you excited to see him here? Is this his biggest managerial test?
A big time. I think he's had it easy. And in many respects, I think he actually failed at Bayern Munich, because the chap before him, whose name escapes me, it was a chap. He won everything. He won the Champions League, he won the German Cup, and he won the league. So it was almost an impossible act to follow. But if anybody is going to follow it, you would expect it to be Pep Guardiola, and he just didn't do it.
So what are you expecting from Pep then? Does he have to deliver the title? Is there immense pressure on him to take that title back to the Etihad?
Yeah, but he's not going to do it because he is used to playing. It's like I said about Atletico Madrid. Him leaving sort of coincided with their rise. So he was in a league where only 1 or 2 teams could win it. He then went from a 2-horse race into a league that was a 1-horse race. So of course Bayern Munich, well, you could go and manage Bayern Munich and you'd win it. Well, maybe not, maybe me, but you know what I'm saying. It's easy, and I just think he's going to come here and it's going to be a shock to the system, because Barcelona go away to Getafe and they win 6-0. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to make a prediction here. He's not going to go away to Stoke and win 5-0. He'll get the shock of his life when he comes up across Peter Crouch and Ryan Shawcross and stuff like that. And he's battling it out for a 0-0 draw. And then he finds out that some other team have won away. You know, it's the Premier League. You've only got to look at us. Look at us last season. We beat all the big boys. All of them. And there's lots of teams like us. Leicester won the league. The league can be won by 5 or 6 teams, and it's going to be a big culture shock for him. He's putting together a squad, but this is absolutely his biggest test.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be getting a Bayern Munich job anytime soon when we can't name the manager. I don't think that suits very well in a job interview. But how long will he get, though? Because they've been very short with Mancini and they've been very short with Pellegrini. You don't win the title, all of a sudden the knives are getting sharpened. However, do you get a feeling that Pep's got a lot more power than them 2 managers and a little bit more charisma with the media on strings slightly?
Well, actually, more importantly than that, and again, so why people watching this show, we don't know anyone's name, but the 2 directors of football at Man City were taken from Barcelona. So basically, Barcelona's old structure is now in place at Man City. So he wields more power, not because he might be more friendly with the media. He wields more power because it's run by Sheikh Mansour. Sheikh Mansour, I think, has possibly only been to 2 or 3 games. He's not been to many games. So then you've got the chief exec, which will be the familiar face to everybody. Again, his name escapes me. But under that, the day-to-day running of the club is run by the 2 guys, the 2 former directors of football, and basically the general manager of Barcelona. So basically, the 2 of the biggest jobs in the club, the people that hire and fire the manager, are Pep Guardiola's mates. So that's why he's securing the job.
I'll say he gets a shock by the English media. The English media are very, very unforgiving. They want the top managers to go 2 or 3 games without a win, so that they can fill their pages and they can take the knives out and they can stand there with Pep and stick the knives in their back and fill their pages about Pep struggling at City. And I think he's going to get a shock when he loses a few games. If he gets beat by West Brom, I recommend he doesn't pick up a newspaper for a week, because I think it's going to be slightly different than what he had in the past, where he had those teams eating out the palm of his hand. I think England's very unforgiving that way. Let's look at his transfers, though. Are you impressed by Man City's transfer activities so far?
They've signed somebody today, haven't they? Which made me laugh because people keep on saying half the name. I think his name is they're all saying, hey, they've signed Leroy Sané, so they get all continental with a second name, but they say Leroy just straight. But he was quite funny. Leroy Sané's dad was a footballer himself, and he used to play for a club called FC Wattenscheid, believe it or not, which I thought was mildly amusing. He's the young star, isn't he? He's a winger, young star of German football. And let's be honest with you, he's got to be a damn sight better than Raheem Sterling, who, I mean, 50 million. Whoever does the transfers at Liverpool's got to be laughing their head off, haven't they? Raheem Sterling for 50 million. I'd be very interested to see what he's going to do with him, if anything. I'm not sure he'll even make the team, because Guardiola likes a pressing team who are high on technique. Well, that's not Sterling. Sterling's fast. He's not a great manipulator of the ball, is he? Let's be honest. He's not doing tricks and flicks. This guy, they've got a lot of dead wood to clear out. They've got to clear out Wilfred Boney, of course. Aguero is obviously going to be a big player. De Bruyne fit all season is going to be. Who else have they signed?
They signed Nolito, and the Spanish attacking midfielder from Celta Vigo. This was my next question. They've signed 2 wingers. Does that mean Sterling's in trouble?
I think Sterling would be in trouble at whatever club he was at. I mean, again, we'll keep referencing West Ham because we're a West Ham channel. Last season, Antonio got a ton of goals and a ton of assists, which really put, and I'm talking about Antonio as a winger because I see him as a winger. We all see him as a winger, of course. He put Sterling to shame. I don't think Sterling would get in on the wing at West Ham. Let's get that clear. So I don't think Sterling would get in on the wing at any club at the moment that's contesting the top place. It's obviously West Brom and different clubs, and of course he would. So, but I don't know how he can get into the Man City team is beyond me. And of course, they've signed, we'll slaughter the name now, but I know you didn't want to say Gundogan from Borussia Dortmund. So he's clearly going for players that he knows. I just don't see any room for it. It'd be interesting to see what he does with Joe Hart as well, because he's got the old butterfingers at the moment, hasn't he?
Well, let's talk about one player they've been linked with for quite a while, even before Pep had arrived, and that's John Stones. Now they're still being linked with him for about 50 million. Is this a good move? Do you think? Do you think this is the type of defender they should be going for?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's a class act. John Stones is a brilliant defender. We know, we're West Ham fans. We know, Bobby Moore and Rio when he came through. I mean, Stones is a ball playing defender, and I think he will thrive under Guardiola. Who you've only got to look at PK or when he put Mascherano at the back. You see what Guardiola likes his centre backs to do. It's absolutely the right move. I mean, there were murmurs of him going to Chelsea, Man U and Man City. But I tell you what, if I was his agent, forgetting about money, I would say go to Man City, because Mourinho will knock it out of him. Mourinho just wants a defender. He's going to allow him to express himself. Pep Guardiola is, and I'd say don't go to Chelsea as well for all the reasons, the dark arts defending, all the reasons we said earlier. So I think it'd be a good move for him.
Is he not too error prone though for such a big club like Man City, where you make one mistake and then you fill the back headlines like we were speaking about with the media? Is he not too? He's cost Everton a lot of points.
Oh, I think it's Martinez cost Everton a lot of points, to be perfectly honest with you. I think you've got to allow players to learn. I think too much in this country where we've got a culture of fear where we don't. I mean, remember watching one of the games where England were playing, somebody or other, Ross Barkley came on. I think Ross Barkley attempted a back heel or something like that, and Roy Hodgson went absolutely bonkers. And it's exactly for reasons like that the England team, or any other home nation team for that matter, don't really prosper, because we are too conservative in our play. We have a mistrust, and it's the reasons, as I said numerous times, that David Batty and people like that get more caps than people like Glenn Hoddle. It's the reason why people like Matt Letizia get one cap, and Ross Barkley doesn't even get on, who's probably our most gifted technical midfielder, doesn't get on in the Euros at all. So I think with players that are skillful, you've got to let them make a mistake. You've got to let them learn their trade, because any team that wins anything at the top level does have technically good players.
Lastly on Man City then, so what do you expect them to do this season? Do you expect them to take it to the wire? Because you've already said you think Man U's going to win it. So how close do you think City are going to run them?
I think they'll run them pretty close, but I do think Guardiola's going to be exposed for what he is. I mean, he has been. It's a bit like Formula One in many respects. The guy with the best car in Formula One generally wins. It's a bit like Michael Schumacher being at Ferrari for years and picking up 5 or 6 world championships. Well, Michael Schumacher was a fantastic driver, but he did pick up a load of championships just purely because he was in the fastest car, and at that point, the Ferrari was loads faster than everyone else. I feel Pep Guardiola's career is like that. So I think his stats are, and the press loves to, Pep Guardiola's won 28 trophies. Well, yeah, okay, he has, but he's not been tested. I do think this is the time when he gets, I don't mean found out, I don't mean he's getting relegated or anything like that, but I just think, hold on, mate, you're in a league now where you've got more than 4 competitive games each season. So now let's have a look, because he's not going to be able to rest like he's not playing Numancia and Getafe and teams like that. So he's going to be able to rest for the Champions League. No, I'll tell you what, he's going to have to play hard on a Tuesday, and he's going to have to play hard on a Saturday as well. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a culture shock for him.
Well, that's the question, is it? Can you do it in Stoke on a wet Tuesday night? That's the question to everybody that comes to England.
You're asking me? Sorry, you're asking me if I can?
No, that's just a rhetorical
I could do it on a wet Wednesday night.
but last thing on City, I suppose, is the one cup that's evaded them. The one cup is the Champions League, and that's why I think Pellegrini got shot in the end, because he couldn't get them the Champions League. Can Pep, while we said he's going to struggle in England, can he deliver that trophy that's evaded them? Because he knows European football.
Yeah, in many respects, I think that's probably his best chance would be the Champions League. I think he knows the league well. I think you'll find that far less of a culture shock than he would the Premier League. And I do think that's why he'll come a cropper in the Premier League. He'll think the Premier League's easier than it is, and he'll rest with the Champions League in mind, and he'll rest some players against Crystal Palace, and they will, they'll unleash Balassi and Zaha and Punchin and Townsend, and they'll have this flaming force coming at him, who are really, Crystal Palace will be a mid-table team. But he won't have seen anything like it. Hold on a second, I was playing a second string here because I've got Wolfsburg on Wednesday night, and I just think that's where he'll come a cropper. But Champions League, he'll be decent, I'm sure.
I agree. I think he will get that feeling at Crystal Palace when he says, "Who is James Tompkins?" I think that's what he'll say at Crystal Palace. Let's move on to our fourth opponent for West Ham United season, which is the one who's involved, also the third. Unbelievably, our first 4 opponents, 3 of them have got a new manager heading into the season. Watford. Why did they sack their manager? I remember doing the preview with you, and I said that they were going to sack the manager, and you were genuinely shocked. Are you still shocked?
Yeah, he was a good manager. It's like the old Kirbishley. Do you remember Kirbishley at Charlton? And the Charlton fans, I think Charlton finished 9th or something, and the Charlton fans were saying, I think Alan Kirbishley's taken Charlton as far as he can. And you had to laugh, you know. I don't know what they thought or where they thought their level was, but clearly they had delusions of grandeur, and they thought that Charlton should be mixing it up with the top 4 or whatever. But actually, Kirbishley performed minor miracles, getting Charlton promoted and keeping them in the Premier League and a couple of top 10 finishes. I think the same with Watford. What he did last season, Chico Flores, surely that's what you want. Not at any point were they in danger of relegation. He was a good manager, a nice manager, charismatic. Got a good strike partnership going with Troy Deeney and old Igloo over there. He was really good. In fact, they've turned down some decent bids for him, haven't they? So, it's a strange one. Personally, I think the Watford owners are absolutely off their rocker.
He got into the FA Cup final as well. You could almost argue that he did better than Bilic in some aspects. We finished 7th. Watford were safe, but they got to the FA Cup final. You could argue that he did better than Bilic last season, I think. I think you can make a strong case for it. Maybe it's because they're still playing Ben flipping Watson in the centre midfield, and now he's a Premier League player. I don't know. But, I'm looking at their signings. They've only signed, we can't even speak about the new manager because we can't even tell you his name. Never mind who's.
Well, who are the signings? Tell us the signings then.
I don't even. I've never heard of them. The first one is the Granada winger Isaac Success. Reasonable second name. If you can live up to that second name, you do good.
But they own Granada.
So he's come 12.5 million,
and they own this company. These barmy owners. They own Granada and they own Udinese. So they just swap their players around with each other. There's obviously they're obviously on the fiddle. Allegedly, might be possibly on the fiddle or not, possibly or not on the fiddle. Allegedly, if you know what I mean.
But he's 20 years old. He's Nigerian. Apparently, he's extremely skillful. So I'm expecting some tricks from him anyway. But then they've also signed Kabasele from Genk for 6 million. He's a centre back. But our Watford. Hands up though, myself and Gonzo know nothing about Watford to an extent. We can only judge them by last season. Are they relegation contenders this season? Right now, do you think Watford are looking at a relegation battle in the face?
Well, bearing in mind we're not armed with knowledge on them, I think they certainly deserve to be relegation contenders for the way that they've acted. I actually think it's quite arrogant to think that you can just swap a manager. It is very continental, of course, and I guess you can. In a lot of terms, if you've got a fantastic director of football. So what if you have the continuity in the player recruitment? So there is a solid plan, and that guy is steadfast and remains in his position. And it's just if it's not manager at all, it's first team coach. So a new first team coach comes in. But I tell you what, if what they're doing is picking up players from Granada and a 6 million player from Genk, how on earth do they honestly expect to better what they did last season? Clearly, they're relying on it being a genius first-team coach. Whoever the first-team coach is, he knows he's only in there for one season. You spoke about the Man City owners being trigger happy. They've got nothing on them. Whoever's getting that job's getting it for one season, because we've seen Stoker going to look to bring in Berahino for 20 million. West Brom have got money to spend. They want to sign our own Sacco for 16 million. Crystal Palace have not only spent 10 million on Tompkins, they've spent another 12 or 13 on Townsend. And we know, because they bid another 30 million for Batshuayi, they've got another 30 million. All these other clubs are spending money. I just think it's complete arrogance by the Watford owners to think that they can do better than they did last season. I think they're going backwards. As I say, I think the promoted teams will be shocking this season, but Maybe, it's not going to take a lot for someone like Burnley to finish above Watford, particularly bearing in mind Burnley have got a prolific striker of their own. So anything could happen, but I think they deserve to go down out of sheer arrogance,
Their worrying thing must be a guy who goes to the African Nations Cup as well. He was the guy that fired in those goals. Now, Deeney is good, but he wasn't in the number 10 role. He was the number 9, like went deep and pung that balls over. I think they could struggle. However, I think when West Ham fans, me and you, need to remember that last summer, people said that about us with Allardyce. Oh, be careful what you wish for. I think we almost need to just take a taste of our own medicine here. And Watford clearly have a plan. They got promoted, sacked their manager, got Flores in and said, "You're our new manager. You're going to take us up that level." He did it. Now they've gone this summer. They've gone to Flores and said, "Right, thank you for the job complete. You're gone. We're getting a new manager in to take us to the next level." Perhaps there's something in that. Southampton did it. Southampton did it with Nigel Atkins. Once they were up, they got rid of him and they got the next manager in. It does work to an extent, and maybe that's why if you keep doing this and you keep the managers on the toes, do you think maybe this I don't want to call it a new managerial strategy, but do you think there could be something in that in terms of just upgrading your manager? You upgrade you upgrade your players every summer with positions. Next summer West Ham are going to be thinking, "Oh, we could do with maybe upgrading our goalkeeper or our right back." Why do you not do it with managers?
I think you're too generalised in your thinking, to be perfectly honest with you. Allardyce had to go because if you looked at actually Allardyce's form in the last 5 or 6 months, was he won 3 games. We were showing relegation form for months and months. Allardyce was absolutely forced into playing that team. We were in the top 4, okay, and we were there because Kevin Nolan was injured and Andy Carroll was injured. He had to play Sacco, who he didn't want. He wanted Connor Wickham, and he was forced to play Valencia, and he was forced to play Stuart Downing in the hole. None of which he wanted to do. It got us to top 4. He got there. He said, "You know what? We've got to find a way to get Kevin Nolan in the team." We've got Kevin Nolan in the team. It just all changed, and we won 3 games. I think one of them was against Hull, one of them was against Leicester. Won 3 games in about 5 months and showed relegation. So he had to go. In terms of Southampton, crikey, anyone could have got in there and done okay because their academy is so good and they do have that structure. I think they've got a guy called Les Reed there. But the guys they were bringing through, who Pochettino had in his first season, were absolutely superb. Lallana was playing, wasn't he? Lovren was playing. These guys were playing out of their skin. They bought Wanyama as well, of course. They had I've forgotten his name now, the forward who went to Liverpool for 6 million, but was banging the goals in. Target man. What's his name?
Lambert.
Yeah, he was in excellent form as well. So they really did have a strategy, and they had an academy. Southampton. I think it's very, very different. Number one, I don't think Watford are in anywhere near the state that West Ham were in, and certainly I don't think what's his name, Chico Flores, was anywhere near as crap as Sam Allardyce was, in all honesty. And I also don't think Watford have got the academy that Southampton have got. So I think, generalise it. If you want to generalise it and say maybe that's a strategy to move towards, but I think they're very isolated incidents. That's why it happened to West Ham. That's why it happened to Southampton. I think they're playing a dangerous game, Watford, if they want to start doing the same sort of thing as swapping their coach over all the time.
Right, I'm making you put your neck on the line. Are Watford getting relegated? Over this next few shows, for you that are watching, we're doing a live show tonight. We'll be doing a live show tomorrow night at 8:30. We were talking about the next 5 teams. We'll be talking about 5 teams. We'll skip Thursday because West Ham are in Europe. We'll be back on Friday with a live show, and then on Saturday there'll be the last teams. We'll go up. It'll be a pre-recorded show. It won't be live on Saturday, but there'll still be a show. So the next 5 nights, you've got 4 shows. This is the first one. Gonzo, Watford, are they going down?
Who got promoted? Burnley, Hull, and
Middlesbrough.
Yeah, Middlesbrough are going to spend. They've got Negredo as well. Yeah. Burnley, Hull, and Watford are going down. There you go.
Well, I think you might change your mind when we discuss another team at some point. But thank you very much for watching. Make sure you check our channel. If you're watching this embedded anywhere, it's youtube.com/Hammers Chat. Subscribe to it as well. This is our first ever non-West Ham show. So if you've enjoyed it or hated it, let us know. I want to hear your comments below. Also, you must agree or disagree with some of us stuff. There's probably a Watford fan out there right now raging with Gonzo, raging. Let him know. Because me and Gonzo don't know anything about Watford. We don't claim to know anything about Watford. All we know is we don't know the name of the manager. We don't know the name of the Bayern Munich manager before Pep. But let us know your opinions, and you can come onto our forum at hammerschat.com and discuss anything you like.
You can troll Geo. Don't troll me. Troll Geo.
Gonzo, what's your thoughts on our first ever non-West Ham show? Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, winging it a bit, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know what you were going to say, and we don't know half the players' names, but it's a big league. There's lots of new players coming all the time. Give us a few games, a few match of the days, and once we've seen a few of them come to Stratford, then we'll know a bit more about a lot of the teams and a lot about these new players. We've got players of our own that we don't know about yet, so there's lots of learning to be done in this new and exciting season.
Well, join us tomorrow, Wednesday at 8:30. We will be live speaking about West Ham's next 5 opponents. I don't know who they are, to be honest with you. I think Crystal Palace and Southampton are in there. Man, you might just scrape in at the end. But we'll be back with our next 5 opponents. That's been Gonzo. I've been Geo. I've been Hammer Chat. Make sure you subscribe and come onto our forum at hammerchat.com. See you soon.